Okay, uh, I'm recording the. As a matter of fact, I got. Uh, okay, uh, I got the preface, which is available as a PDF, and I got it read by an app, which gives the reading in a default American voice, and because my rendering was not very clear, but this may have problem for some, but my idea is we can listen to it together in one of the meeting sessions where I can interpret or we can pause and have clarifications. So this recording will follow, and then we can listen to them independently or we can listen to them together. Here it goes.
This work projected at the very outset of my Oriental studies, a work which has cost much time and labor, and completes the series of Tamil books by which I have tried to help forward the study of this admirable language among both Europeans and natives. Asterisk. It is primarily intended to make classical Tamil easier to English students, while to native students it may afford means for a more comprehensive and fruitful study of their greatest classic author, who has sunned off so many topics, Museo contingens kuntal for L touching all things with poetic grace. The grammatical introduction pp. XV. XXIV, together with the handbook, and a careful use of the lexicon and concordance, aided by the English and Latin versions, will make it easy to master the great work of this very influential teacher of men. F. Asterisk these are 1. A First Catechism of Tamil Grammar, Fin Tamil. This was published in 1842. The 0. B. E. S. alone has sold 350,000 copies. The C. R. S. and various missionary societies, and the Madras government also, have reprinted it in very many editions. 2. The Second Catechism, in Tamil, published in 1844. The C. B. E. S. has sold 75,000, and it is very largely used. 6. The Third Catechism, with native authorities, being a larger grammar of Tamil, in both its dialects. In Tamil, 2nd edition. 8 Bo. 411 pp. 4. A Tamil Handbook for English Students, in 3 parts. 4th edition. 5. A Tamil Prose Reader, with references to the handbook. 6. A Tamil Poetical Anthology, with references to the third grammar. These works can be obtained from the publishers of this book, and the author will be glad to assist any student who will communicate with him, at the Indian Institute, Oxford. Since this work was sent to the press, I have seen a charming little volume entitled Tales and Poems of South India, from the Tamil, by Rev. E. J. Robinson. T. Woolmer, 1885. Had I known of this earlier, I should have felt it less necessary to publish a translation. I cordially recommend this interesting and scholarly little volume. I have not seen the edition edited by M. Maruja Mutali and translated by J. Lazarus. Madras, 1885. In an elegant little volume of translations from Tamil authors, and other miscellanies, entitled Indisch Sinaptanzen und Blumen, by the late lamented Dr. Graal Erlong in 1865, the accomplished author has given translations in meter. IV Preface. Anyone living in India, and having the assistance of a munshi, or native teacher, should use also one of the editions published by less than F5 less than a 68 FFR QL and RRSRR Ajlir. The verbal commentary and paraphrase will be very useful, yet it is only by much loving thought and reiteration of the couplets themselves that their full force and beauty can be apprehended. The commentary constitutes, in such cases, rather a pair of crutches than a pair of wings. It would have been possible to illustrate each chapter with parallel passages from Sanskrit authors, from poets of many languages in times, and from Holy Scripture. This I have done here and there, especially where it might seem that the author was translating, as from Manu, for example, but after careful study, and especially after comparison with Boetlink's Indisch script, which resembles the Kurl. Though much of that collection is of more recent date than our poet, it would seem that, except the few I have indicated, it is not probable that Tiruvalluvar translated of Loka from Sanskrit. I may say here that it is hard to discern the least reason to imagine, with M. Jules Yin Sun, Melanges Oriento, Sept. 1883. Paris, Leroux, that we have not before us the original work of the poet as he planned it. It is certainly not an anthology, but the perfect and most elaborate work of one master. The third part might be deemed separable, but the manner even there is quite peculiar to our bard. As one link in a chain of evidence, the following is remarkable. The poet uses cupery 9 times as equivalent to lady, but never uses the same epithet twice. So with d less than 55l, there is a studied variety in epithets throughout. A brief notice of Father Beschi, the greatest of Tamil scholars, may be of interest. Father Constantius Josephus Beschius Constantio Josepho Beschi was an Italian Jesuit, and was appointed to the South Indian missions in 1700, and died at Manipurai in 1742. He lived at Abor, near Trichinopoly, assuming the dress, and conforming to the habits of a Hindu guru. He studied Tamil, Telugu, Sanskrit, Hindu, Stani, and Persian, and from 1736 to 1740 we find him Dewan, or Chief Minister, ch. Lxiv. To Chanda Sahib. See my textbook of Indian history, 3 Arded. p. 270. Of the choicest couplets of Der Tamulish Namen Dictor Tiruvalluvar. In the Maxims Traduites des Chorals de Tiru va Fubar, by P. G. de Dumast, Nancy, 1854. The poetry of the Tamil bard is somewhat diluted, but the pamphlet is interesting. Asterisk. Speaking of the Sintamani, he says, On ne pourrait guère regarder comme anteriors que le requels de sentences morales intitules rural de Tiruvalluva et naladiar, mais, amon avis, ces requels, sous leur forme actuelle sont des compilations relativement recents. In regard to the ND Ladi, this is the case, introd. He, she, but not as to the curl. Preface. B. His works are numerous. The Q less than and Usut less than 5 IJ less than OGBFL Tembani, the unfading garland, is an epicene. 3,615 quatrains. It was intended to serve as a summary of the gospel history, and is full of legends, in style it is thoroughly Tamil. The student will find some fine passages, but, as a whole, it is monotonous. Of his prose writings the very admirable Vedayar Oricum Qtoj Leum. LP in less than E5 lane. The Duties of Catechists, is the best. It is in part adapted from the writings of S. Gregory the Great, and is the best model I know for the student of Tamil prose. His grammars of High Tamil Q and Fifsushep, and of Low Tamil Q and RRQJs less than GULP, were written in Latin, but have been translated into English, the former by Mr. Bavington, MCS, and the latter by Mr. Horst and Mr. Mahan. He also wrote or edited a grammar in Tamil Qpirorpir, less than SL3R and less than S5 lane, and dictionaries in Tamil French, Tamil Portuguese, and Tamil Latin, and one of the poetical dialect, called the Gir Junior R, the fourfold dictionary. The Adventures of Guru Noodle, wherein R.R. is a very amusing story in 8 chapters, intended to ridicule the native rabbis, whom, however, he did not disdain to imitate pretty closely in many things. This is translated into many native languages, and an edition, with English translation, vocabulary and praxis, was published in London, in 1832, by Mr. G. Babington, of the Madras Civil Service. The Ms. from which I have edited the Latin translation of the Kurl, generally attributed to Beschi, belongs to the India Office Library, and is supposed to be the only one in existence. It seems to have been written at least a century ago. This copy, not quite perfect, belonged to Francis White Ellis. Some missing chapters have been supplied by Thomas Brotherton of the S. P. I know not from what copy. One sheet of the India Office Ms. is in the handwriting of William Henry Drew. Dr. Grawl used this Ms. for his work. Sir Walter Elliot presented it to the library in 1877. It was evidently transcribed by a native and mistakes occur. The Latin, it will be seen, is tinged with Tamil, but will help the student more than a more strictly classical version. The editor has had to amend the text occasionally, but has generally allowed even doubtful things to appear as in the Ms. Beshi was known by 3 names or titles. These are less than S less than I fludge F5 IR less than in. Less than S less than sun us S. Daria and the SBDMI, Isiru FR, Ipis Cephelsu, RS. Vera Mod Muni. And 5W asterisk cubed AC Ismati Sanitsi. Of these the first was his official designation as a Christian priest. And as a translation of Constantius with N the equals Lord, and SBDMI, the usual title of a Hindu guru. The second title was given him by the Hindu literati, and is also equivalent to Constantius with the addition of the words Great Devotee. The third was given him by VPKEFACE. Chanda Sahib, and signifies asterisk the chaste or noble ascetic, and is also intended, more or less, to reproduce his Christian name. See a brief sketch of the life and writings of Father Beshi. By A. Muthusamy Pillai. Madras Lit. Journal, April 1840. I have in transliteration used RR for P, and have therefore written curl. In this I follow the example of Beshi. But my chief reason for this course is that in pronunciation it is nothing but a strong double R. In common Tamil P is constantly used for junior, and in the cognate languages the rough or double R is hard